So in order to understand and mitigate the different intermittency, variability in generation, we need to understand what has happened in the past that we have already had a look in the previous slides, but then we have to take it forward in order to forecast. So this forecasting ranges from a short-term forecast from seconds, and it goes up to decadal to multi-decadal projections in terms of climate change. Each of these forecasts are highly dependent on computational resources, and they are done only based on the utility of the forecasting. So for example, if you have a smaller weather event that is in terms of seconds to a day, you can use the forecast for ramp control and for predicting the amount of energy that would be available, so which could be used by different operators and also for bidding purposes. There might be events like lightning, cloud movements, or maybe thunderstorms that could impact the amount of energy generation, the voltage flicker, or the voltage changes suddenly. Then the ramps, and also it might be useful because you can predict if there's going to be any material damage in terms of events like thunderstorms and hailstorms. Then in terms of short-term forecasts, we also have forecasts that are included in terms of synoptic scales and seasonal scales that are going to happen in terms of the extreme weather events like heat waves, extreme periods of rain, extreme wind events, etc. So this could be useful for resource assessments, also for seasonal forecasting and optimizing the battery storage capacity in order to have the stability in the energy and demand. And the next bit is to look at the climate projections. So usually we have climate projections in terms of decades and multi-decadal scale, and this is extremely important when we are trying to do a site selection, when we want to have resource assessment, when we want to plan our storage, and when we want to do material selection, considering what is going to give us the most amount of generation in terms of investment and in terms of what's happening in the next few years. We have to understand where we are currently with the forecasting. We have different technologies and different strategies in order to do a better forecasting. We have stuffs like deterministic forecasting, nowcasting, statistical forecasting. So these are the different techniques which helps us get a better understanding of the weather, the variability, and the amount of generation in the future. Right now, we usually use NWP methods, and we use ensemble forecasts along with hybrid models in order to predict what's going to happen in the next few days to what's going to happen in the next season. But in terms of climate change, when we are looking in decadal to multi-decadal scale, we use climate projections, that is running models on a global scale or on a regional scale for almost 100 years to understand what is going to happen to the weather in the next few decades.